Hello again, and welcome to an exciting episode of These Are Your Notes for Tonight. So tonight is part one of a two-part thing. This is on two-step equations with rational numbers. Rational numbers, again, could be anything as simple as a whole number, 5, 6, negative 17, all the way to a fraction, 3 over 15, 5 over 9, or decimals, 4.06, 4.7 repeating. All of these are examples of rational numbers. So two-step equations covers a wide area. For these three examples I'm going to be doing in this video, there's two ways of doing it. There's the classic method that if you're comfortable knowing how to do the laws with decimals and fractions, it's actually pretty straightforward just to do it. That's why it's two steps. Whereas if you have trouble remembering those laws, doing the clearing method does add on 2 or 3 steps sometimes, but it makes it so you don't have to deal with the fraction laws or the decimal rules. So again, whatever you feel most comfortable with, go for it. So classic is going to be you have to know decimal and fraction laws. Clearing, which is a very useful tool, is great because it actually allows you to skip a lot of this stuff because, man, I really don't like decimals and fractions because of all the crazy rules you have to learn. So let's get to it. Classic number one. So I have, my first example is 60 minus 5.81 times k. So remember, that doesn't mean times. There's no number there, so it's automatically times. Is equal to 1.9. So we're going to jump right into the classic first. I'm going to first off write the problem. 60 minus 5.81k is equal to 1.9. So first step with any equation, balance line. Okay. Second step, I'm going to rewrite. I'm going to put down what I'm doing here. Wait, it's a little more over. I'm sure you know why, because you're already thinking about what you're going to move first, I hope. So 60 minus 5.81k is equal to 1.9. I'm going to change that minus to a plus and 5.81 into a negative, just because that's how I always think about these things. Now, here we go. What am I going to do first? Well, negative 5.81 is multiplying to k, so I'm not going to do that one first. Would you like to do this video with me?
Sure.
Come on in. Have a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a great honor. I am.
Good, because Courtney really wants you to be here.
I'm here. We're grabbing some frisbees.
Oh, are we on?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're recording, and Miss Sutherland is going to grace
Wait, I
us
want to
tonight.
kind of like, how do I look? Where do I look?
The camera's right there.
Oh, the camera's right there. All right.
The green dot is. So
Okay.
I'm just showing how to do the classic and clearing method. So classic is just solving for a normal equation. So just like on regular two-step equations, we want to leave the number that's next to the k by itself. And if I cover it up and just think, if it was just 60 plus k, what would I do? Well, if it was 60 plus k, the opposite of adding is subtracting.
Oh, I know how to do this.
If you want to do it my way, I'm always for adding the opposite, so I can add negative 60 also. So I'm going to do that just because it looks neater. Like sometimes it's hard to see that minus.
Okay, that is so confusing for me.
In the front. Let's
A plus, and why don't you just do minus?
Here, okay, so we're starting right here. Where would you put minus 60? Starting on that equation, where would you write that?
So I would do 60, so this is our equation, 60 plus 5.1.
Negative 5.81.
Negative 5.81k equals 1.9. So, wait, that's a positive 60 here?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is, well, I know this is a positive 60, so I'm going to minus 60.
You're not supposed to do that.
Why?
Because that's not how you can enter it into equation. They're not supposed to be subtracting underneath like that.
Then I would do 60 minus 60.
If you want to rewrite it like that, I'm all for it.
Plus 5.81k equals 1.9 minus 60.
Okay. So I'm opening up another program so I can show you just what Miss Sutherland did so I can point it out. What she just did, if you guys are noticing, is she minus 60. She plugged these new 60s in. She decided to rewrite it with the minus 60 right there. Totally all for that.
Okay.
That's fine. So I'm going to write down what I did right there, what she did. She wanted to subtract 60 from both sides. She subtracted 60 from both sides. So 60 minus 60 is?
0.
0, absolutely. So all we have left over here is negative.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that negative. Oh, this, see, be careful. You got to be careful when you do your problems. You do it correctly.
Right, so that's a little neater for everybody at home.
You want me to write it?
I got it.
Really? Because your handwriting's really ugly.
They already heard about this from Miss Kirshen and Miss Horn, and they can be just fine. 1.9
He can't spell either.
minus 60, yeah.
Love him.
1.9 minus 60. What do you think?
Well, it's going to be a negative
Mm-hmm.
58.1.
58.1?
That's what I'm guessing, because that's almost 2, and so 60 minus 2 is 58, and then I put that 0.1 back in there.
If you want to show a little bit of scratch work, let me clear that off. If you want to show a little bit of scratch work, think about it. You owe someone $60, so you're paying
that's
them
what
off
you owe me.
$1.90.
Okay, then you owe me $58.10.
I got to line up the decimals, $58.10, yeah. I can't borrow. 9 minus 0 doesn't happen, so I got to borrow from here. But
Can't
I don't have
borrow
anything
from a
there,
0. Got it.
so I got to turn it into a 5, and then this into a 10.
And then that turns into a 9, and
turns
that's
into a 10. Now I got 10 minus 9 is 1. Bring down the decimal. 9 minus 1 is 8, and the 5 comes down. So yep, negative 58.1. Now, the inverse operation of the multiplying is
division.
division. So I'm going to rewrite this, guys, just so I can remember that I got to this step right here. So if I'm showing work, I know I got here at least, so I'm going to rewrite it before I change anything. 5.81k is equal to negative 58.1. Okay, so the opposite of multiplying, Ms. Sutherland said, is dividing. And we're going to divide both sides.
5.81. Sorry.
Positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative.
Because a negative times a negative is a positive, just like in English, by the way.
Very good.
If I don't got no money, it means I have money. So
Absolutely.
a negative just, yeah.
Perfect.
I use that in my classroom.
This all equals the same numbers, it's just 1.
Yes.
So I have k equals. Okay. Now, this is going to go back to a little bit of a trick I showed you guys when we were dividing decimals. I have, these are, if you're noticing, ignore the decimal just for a second. We still have to pay attention to it, but think about it. You have 581 on top, 581 on the bottom. So there's going to be some type of little neat trick to it. If you want to be a little sly about it, remember we did this in our decimals, you can move the decimal over. I'm going to show this in my scratch work area. If I have 58.8.1 and then 5.81, I want to make, if I make these both whole numbers, think about what we did in the unit on the video with the order of operations with decimals. I can move the decimal, if I move the decimal one time, whatever I do on the bottom,
You do to the top.
do to the top. Well, the bottom's still not a whole number, so I'm going to do it one more time.
And you add a 0.
To the top. There you go. So really, this is just like, by the way, negative divided by negative is a
Positive.
So I know this is going to be positive up here. So I'm just going to negatives, not worrying about negatives anymore. So really this is 5,810 divided by
581.
581. And all you really need to do you want to go and
I'm
show
going
it?
to do
Have
this
at
one,
it.
yeah. So 581 into 5810, that goes once at 581, and 0, and 0, it goes in 0 times. So it's going to be 10.
There you go.
And if you're going to check it, you're going to do 10 times 581, but I think everybody knows that.
That's right. So I'll just bring this on down. And by the way, this is why we do our side work on the side, because it makes it look a little sloppy, guys. But it's all good. Miss Sutherland's a guest.
I'm a guest.
So
I don't
K
know how we do it.
is definitely equal to 10.
And we box our answers.
Absolutely. So there you go. Let's zoom out a little bit so we can see the whole picture. A lot of different rules. You have to remember how to add decimals, how to multiply by decimals, and there's a lot of crazy rules that you have to remember. So for me personally, I don't like having to memorize decimal rules.
No.
Do you know anything about clearing the decimal?
I like what you did with this.
We're kind of going to do the same thing, but
Okay.
at the
No,
very
I
beginning.
really don't. But what I do know is that this is easy. It's just time consuming.
Takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's just going to take you guys a little bit of time to do it. So I guess if you clear the decimals right away, you times it by whatever and add the zeros.
Yeah, but what do you know? Can you think of what number you would use to make them whole numbers?
Well, I would have to make this times by 100.
Times by 100, or like any number that would make them all whole numbers. 10, 100, 1,000, whatever would work the best.
Right. But since we have this one, we have to make it by 100.
So what we're saying is we're going to multiply everything. Why not use 10? Because that'll make this a whole number.
But it won't make this one a whole number.
See, that's the trick, guys. You want every decimal. It's to clear every decimal, not just the one. And I'm going to get a piece of paper just because that's kind of hard to see what's going on. I don't want you guys to get distracted. Let's focus on what's going on this side. So we want to multiply by a whole number that's 10, 100, some multiple of 10. On every number gets times by 100. That gets times by 100. This gets times by 100. This gets times by 100. 6 times 1 is 6. And now I've got 1, 2, 3 zeros. So that's 6,000. Minus, well, 100, we're going to move the decimal 1, 2 times because there's 2 zeros. Okay? 581K. And then we got 2 zeros. So if I move the decimal once, and then I move
19,
it again,
and then it's 190.
190. Perfect, because we're adding the 0 right there. Okay. So now, that's only whole numbers. We don't have to remember about lining up decimals. We don't have to worry about moving decimals when we multiply or divide. We just work it out, and we might end up with a fraction at the end of the problem.
That's okay.
But that's something we deal with at the very end.
Right.
Okay. So the
So
opposite
we're
of
going to minus 6,000 from
so
both sides.
We're going to do this Miss Sutherland style. We're going to
I
minus
do. Minus 6,000.
6,000.
Minus 581K
581K, okay.
equals 190 minus 6,000.
Minus 6,000. And remember, the new...
That's a 600 though.
Oh, that put 600? Sorry.
You did. And so children, don't be confused. There's just not a lot of room on this other side.
Yep. This is a lot of work to show on such a small piece of paper. There we go.
There we
Also,
go.
I'm not using my normal pencil. So we
That's all right.
minus this 6,000 and this 6,000. That's what we're minusing. Okay, well this is 0 because they're opposites.
Mm-hmm.
My balance line a little longer. I'm slanting it is what's going on. I had plenty of space up top and I'm starting to go at an angle. So we have negative 581K is equal to, I have $6,000, or I owe someone $6,000. I'm losing 190. I can just subtract that, but I have to keep in mind that I owe someone more money than I actually have.
Right.
So 0 minus 0, gotta borrow 5, this turns into 10, this turns into 9. If you're noticing, it's almost the same numbers. It's just now we're not dealing with decimals.
Decimals. And if decimals scare you a little bit, this is a great way to turn them into whole numbers that you're really comfortable with.
Absolutely. 9 minus 1 is 8, and 5 just comes down. So we have 5,810, right?
Exactly.
You sure?
I'm positive.
What if the negative's bigger? Isn't this negative?
That is
See
negative.
how easy that's easy to
Oh, I
lose,
see
though?
what you're saying. Yes,
Like,
it is easy
If
to
you don't
lose.
remember right here, you guys gotta pay attention. Always go back and think about what you just did.
And you do. And when you're writing sentences, remember to always start with a capital, end with a period, because you know what? Just like the negative, if you lose that, you don't have a sentence.
Absolutely.
So it's very important you pay attention to your work.
I'm gonna rewrite just so I know I got to this step.
And nothing's wrong with taking the extra 5-10 seconds to rewrite it to make sure you have it correct.
Yeah, because I'm gonna change it when I start dividing. I'm gonna start changing. So we definitely want to keep that in mind. Opposite of multiplying is still dividing.
And so I'm going to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
So you can divide like this,
Right.
but we weren't allowed to subtract like that.
Right.
Why?
Because on a fraction, 3/4. Because this is technically making it a giant fraction.
Okay.
That's why. That's actually a good question.
There you go.
Yeah, good. That makes it a
Alrighty.
giant fraction. Whereas like on a computer, or a calculator, when they start using those more in high school, like you can't enter a calculator in like that. It's always side by side.
Okay.
So it's
You
using
know,
one.
although I am this gorgeous, calculators pretty much came out when I was a kid.
Wow.
So yeah, I remember my dad buying my stepdad buying four calculators, $250 a piece. That could add, subtract, multiply, divide, maybe square root. That was it.
Jeez.
I know, that's how old I am, and yet preserved so well.
I. By the way,
We didn't have microwaves when I was a kid.
Oh, geez, I'm moving on. And if you have the same, if you're noticing, these are both when they divided 1, and then I'm adding 0. Miss Sutherland showed the long division, but if you guys think about it, if these are both the same, it's just 1, and then add a 0. So that's why it's 10.
I find that confusing.
About me putting my thumb over that?
No, I'm just saying, for me personally, that's more confusing.
Okay. Well, if you want to do
But
long
if
division,
you
go
get
for it.
that, kids, then you go for it. Whatever makes more sense to you, because aren't you letting them do one way or the other?
Mm-hmm.
There you
They
go.
have to copy both for notes, but as far as in class, whatever works for them.
Excellent.
All right, the very last thing, we're going to do a check because we always check our equations. Both occasions, we got to k equals 10. So I'm going to start by writing my original question.
Oh, so this
16
would be great if they had a negative or a positive to go back and check that they didn't make a mistake with that
Exactly.
negative
Because
positive.
what if one of my answers was negative,
Negative
one was
10
positive?
was positive.
Like,
You'd plug it back
I'd plug
in.
both of them in and see which one worked. So instead of k, I'm replacing k with 10. We've got 10 on both of them, so why not? 10's a great number. We can just move the decimal, right?
Move the decimal. That's so nice.
So we're going to move the decimal to the left or to the right?
We are going to move it to the right.
To the right. So we're gonna put to the
I
right.
don't know my left and right always.
So that's 60 minus 58 and 1/10,
One, yeah.
which is equal to, hopefully it's equal to 1.9. Okay?
And
We're going to minus over here.
okay, you.
Oh, what?
I can't do it that way
What? Why not?
because your decimal point's not lined up.
Oh, geez, sorry, I forgot about that. My bad, guys. Yeah, don't forget about that decimal point.
So it's like 60.0.
0. Right, because there's nothing to, totally forgot about that. Thanks, Mom. You're the best.
Oh,
I already know I'm borrowing. 10 minus 1's not going to work.
no.
Can't borrow from
borrow
there.
from
So it's
there,
5, 10, turn that to a 9. 10 minus 1 is 9. 9 minus 8 is 1. And 5 minus 5 is 0.
0.
Hey, look, 1.9 is equal to 1.9. So we're good to go.
All right.
Do my check mark, my smiley face.
Oh,
That's our example.
That's nice.
So here
How
we
many
go.
problems do they